Only on 9, a nearly 35-year-old cold case in Charlotte is now solved. A man pleaded guilty to hitting and killing a woman in Uptown Charlotte and then driving off, leaving her for dead.
All these years later, a unit never gave up on the case, and new DNA technology led to a suspect and a confession. Channel 9's crime reporter Hunter Sines has that exclusive story.
Ruth Buchanan was a mother of two, a wife who loved square dancing as much as she enjoyed giving back. On December 29, 1989, the Forest City woman and a friend went to Uptown Charlotte, then known as downtown, to take advantage of post-Christmas sales.
Ruth and her friend were walking down the sidewalk here.
Sergeant Gavin Jackson with CMPD's Major Crash Investigations Unit says here, where 5th Street meets North Tryon, is where that shopping trip came to a tragic end.
As they crossed 5th, witnesses indicate that a driver ran a red light and struck Mrs. Buchanan, who was in the crosswalk.
According to reports at the time, Mrs. Buchanan was hurled about 10 feet into the air, left dying on busy North Tryon Street, battered by a driver who ran a red light at 45 miles per hour and never stopped. The 52-year-old mother died the next day. Detectives soon tracked down the suspected car, found dumped at a Charlotte hotel. You can see the busted windshield where Mrs. Buchanan's hair fibers and skin fragments were found.
The tag that was displayed in the vehicle matched the tag that was seen fleeing from this scene.
It turns out that car was stolen. For days and weeks, updated reports. Police continued working the case, but for years, nothing. That is, until 2022.
I received a Crime Stoppers tip, and it gave information about this case.
The tip wasn't credible.
But it opened your eyes on the case.
It did, because our electronic reporting system doesn't go back 3.5 decades.
Sergeant Jackson had a detective reopen the case file, a set of new and fresh eyes, and what he found would crack the case. Inside this canister was a cigarette butt left in that damaged car.
It was item 19. They do the DNA analysis on the cigarette/possible marijuana joint, and within a couple of months, they end up giving us a hit back from that DNA.
It led them to Herbert Standback, a career criminal who was already in prison for another crime. Sergeant Jackson and his detective went to interview Standback twice.
One thing led to another, and he was able to provide us a 26-minute confession.
Confessed right to you?
Yeah, audio recorded. Waived his rights and confessed.
During that confession, Sergeant Jackson says Standback stated he was too scared to stop after hitting Mrs. Buchanan.
He did tell us it was within a few days of Ruth dying that he had read in the paper that she had passed, and at that point felt that police were imminently going to be upon him. He always knew one day this would catch up to him.
For 35 years, a police department, a community, and a family were bewildered by who did it. But finally, closure, with a cold case killer caught.
For us, certainly once in a career type thing.
In Charlotte, Hunter Sines, Channel 9, Eyewitness News.
Herbert Standback, who is now 68, pled guilty and was sentenced to 2 years for Ruth Buchanan's death. The Department of Correction records say he was already serving a 6-year sentence for a habitual felon conviction. The two sentences will be served at the same time.